What's a Breather is Ed Brubaker's new book based on his own experience writing a TV show from Amazon. And are the Ghosts of Mars against rock and roll? All this and more on a brand new How Did This Get Made? Last Looks. Hit the theme. Hello, all you orca whale aliens. I am your ghost host with the most, Big Daddy Paul, and welcome to How Did This Get Made? Last Looks, where you, the listener, get to voice your issues on John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars, a movie that Discord user Quantum Volt thinks should have had the tagline, Ghosts of Mars. Sometimes the cure for possession is drugs. Thank you, Quantum Volt, for that alt movie title, and a big shout out to Quinn for that spooky John Carpenter-inspired opening theme song. I'll let you know that our John Carpenter of Mars shirt, which is a Big Daddy Paul, is available in the How Did This Get Made store. You can go to hdtgm.com and pick it up as a coffee mug, a sticker, whatever you'd like. It's actually a pretty great design. Something you could wear out and could maybe fool people that this is a little-known John Carpenter film. Remember, if you have an alt movie tagline or a title, submit it to us on the Discord at discord.gg/hdtgm. And if you have a Last Looks theme song, go ahead and tell us to play it by uploading it on hdtgm.com. That's all you have to do. Just click on the Submit a Song button on our homepage. Remember, keep them short. 15 to 20 seconds is best. All right, coming up on today's episode, we'll be hearing all of your corrections and omissions on John Carpenter's Ghost of Mars. Plus, Jason and I will chat with legendary comic book writer Ed Brubaker, who you might remember from our Daredevil episode. We get Ed's thoughts on Ghost of Mars. He is a huge fan. And we will also discuss how Ed approached adapting his book Criminal into a brand new show for Amazon, plus a whole lot more. And don't worry, as always, at the end of the show, we'll reveal next week's film. All right, everybody, if you're hearing this on Friday, How Did This Get Made is going to be in Philly tomorrow, November 8th. You can buy tickets at HDTGM. And if you missed it earlier in the week, and this is a awkward transition to get into, but I do think it's worthy to take a moment. This week, we lost our producer, Halley, and I was able to record something a little less jarring than just kind of talking about her in the Last Looks episode on our matinee episode that aired on Tuesday. So as we all are still just absolutely gutted from the loss of Avril, I feel like that's a better place for you to hear how we all are feeling and what we all are going through. So I appreciate everyone who has written their wonderful and beautiful condolences on the How Did This Get Made page. And again, we just send so much love to Avril's family and friends. And if you want to just support Avril, check out her page on Instagram, Movie Bitches, and of course her YouTube channel, where you can see some of her amazing work. If you like RuPaul's Drag Race, Avril and Andrew were doing some great, hilarious stuff. So yeah, we miss her very, very much. And like I said, listen to our matinee Tuesday episode to hear a fuller episode devoted to her. Whew. Okay, let it out. And now we'll go back into show mode and say, last week we talked at length about Ghosts of Mars. We had questions and we might have even missed a few things. Here's your chance to set us straight. Fact check us if you will. It is now time for corrections and omissions.
Corrections and omissions. You were wrong.
Thank you, Mad Licks, for that theme song. Love that name, by the way. Let's go to the Discord. Sean McBee writes, I spent the beginning of the movie thinking that everyone was somehow breathing through their goggles, but it's actually these little silver things on their collars, as evidenced by the one shot where Natasha Hendricks can be seen breathing directly from it with accompanying air sounds. Now, there's a picture that Sean put up, and he's not lying. It seems like it's outputting enough oxygen in the general direction of their faces to supplement the 80% atmospheric conversion to Earth levels. So you just think that they have like a fan blowing on them the entire time. I thought it was through their goggles too, like through their eyes. We need to get answers, Sean. And honestly, this idea that they have just a little vent blowing in their face has put more questions in front of this. People, come to the rescue. We may need to ask Ed Brubaker about this. Unfortunately, we recorded our chat with him a while ago, so I will not be able to ask him. But good thing there's somebody in the Discord who can answer this, and that is Flat_Baby. Flat_Baby adds, I just watched it, and yes, the glasses are unrelated to the breathers. It's an editing oversight that they just happen to be putting on the glasses and talking about over the face mask while also talking about breathers. Later on, Nell sucks air from a chest-mounted nozzle like a camelback tube, and the guy who cuts off his thumb is using a black market breather called a laugher, which looks more like an asthma inhaler. Whoa, okay, so I thought he was like vaping or doing drugs too. So I guess it's like an asthma inhaler that lasts for a very long time. I guess. Again, Flat Baby, you've clarified some things, and I appreciate that. And what a jump. Why not just say we pressurized Mars? Why not? At that point, right? Fun Fact 47 writes, why is it in both the movie and the Doom movie, which also takes place in the future on Mars, there's futuristic technology, yet the characters have to hold a flashlight in one hand and their gun in the other? You'd think they have figured out the built-in night vision. You know what? You're right. And I also believe, Fun Facts 47, that there are guns with flashlights on top of them. I feel like I've seen enough movies where people are like, it's a mounted thing, like a scope, but it's a flashlight. Am I right? Am I wrong? Gun owners, let me know. Gratuitous Silence writes, it sounded like the group thought the diseased miners were ghosts, but I understood it more to be like an infection, i.e. The Last of Us. The ghosts were old organisms or spores, not actual spirits that used to be on the surface. And when they were isolated and quarantined, maybe an infected species got locked away in that tomb, which then makes more sense that they only travel via wind, people respond like crazed zombies when infected, and that the drugs counter the effects. But does that make the other things harder, like sentience and seemingly choosing to leave Melanie's body when she takes the drugs? Well, Gratuitous Silence, we are on the same page. I mean, I think the ghosts are the infection. They're the spore that is dormant that then flies into people's bodies, right? So I guess like ghosts use liberally, that the ghost, the spore is living. I mean, so what you're saying is there's no such thing as ghosts, because the ghosts also have a lot of wherewithal, right? Oh boy. But it's not like zombieism because they are sentient. So they are looking for a host. You know what? I think the fact that we have spent more time than clearly John Carpenter might have spent on this means that it is time for a reboot. Gratuitous Silence, please get that going. All right, let's go to the phones. Mindy, you're up.
Hey, Paul. My brother and I went to Ghosts of Mars, and my boyfriend's back this week. Amazing shows. I think I can explain Ghosts of Mars. It's a satanic panic movie, and the moral is that if your kids listen to heavy metal, they will pierce their fingers, file their teeth, and become cannibals. That's why every time we see the zombie Martian ghosts acting up, it turns into a bizarre 80s music video. The only part I can't explain is why drugs save the day. But still, the movie has satanic panic written all over it. Thanks for great shows.
Mindy, I love this take. I mean, yes, the drugs, we can't really, I guess drugs is cool, but rock and roll isn't. I don't know, but I love that idea that this is about rock music. I mean, the music in the movie is also like kind of rocking too. So is it like a meta satanic panic movie? Like rock and roll comes to Mars and then it controls all of us and we don't want to work for the man anymore. Rock and roll sets us free and they try to put the rock and roll in the cave, but you can't keep rock and roll down. No, you can't. And, you know what? Rock and roll lives as long as you don't do drugs, because the best rock and rollers have been killed by drugs, right? Is that maybe where we're at? Mindy, you're a genius. I love it. Next up, Fuzzy from Connecticut.
Hey, Paul, watching Ghosts from Mars. Neither June nor Jason commented on the fact that Pam Grier was wearing leather gauchos. I was shocked and disappointed. Anyway, I thought it was a trench coat, definitely long leather gauchos. Love the show. Thanks.
First of all, thank you, Fuzzy, for not expecting me to comment on those leather gaucho pants. I like that you're just like, no, I'm not even going to say I'm disappointed in you. You know I wouldn't go there. But yeah, I agree. I'm also disappointed in them. But you know what? Here's the thing. There's so much other stuff not making sense in this that the Gaucho Pants might be the only thing that does. Let's go back to the Discord. Frosted Nebula, a.k.a. that's Jafar. We love Jafar. Jafar was a presence in our last LA shows and many of the shows in the last year. Jafar, what do you got? Towards the end of the DVD commentary with John Carpenter and Natasha Hendrich, Carpenter is talking about Natasha downplaying her acting, and she says, well, John, every day when you got to set, you would say loudly, this is the biggest piece of shit I've ever made, and it didn't inspire much confidence in the rest of the team. Whoa! I thought that they were in separate places when they said these things about the movie, but no, Frosted Nebula, aka Jafar, says it is one of the most awkward commentary tracks I have ever heard. Wow. Wow, wow, wow. Well, you know what? You get paid to do commentary tracks, so I guess they wanted some of that money, but I am now definitely going to go hunt down this DVD and listen to that. That sounds ideal. All right, CNU 2007 writes, as it turns out, Big Daddy Mars is from the underworld and just wants to destroy Mars. This is canon, as seen on my official Big Daddy Mars trading card. Wait, what? There were trading cards for Ghost of Mars? Well, yes, there is. Our producer Scott has an image here. This is a mint card I'm looking at, and I will tell you some of the things that were on the back. Hobbies. For this is Big Daddy Mars. Head hunting and body piercing. I love that he has hobbies. Facts you didn't know. Big Daddy Mars has over 200 body piercings. Okay, so the hobbies and the facts you didn't know kind of go together. I like that he has body piercings. Again, is this a minor that had body piercings? Because I would imagine that, well, I guess maybe he got to work. I mean, he must be sore. If that ghost came out, found a minor, and then just started piercing the hell out of himself. Description. The beast of the night is a true wanderer, a roamer who brings devastation and pain to all he encounters, a product of the underworld. His desire to reap disaster upon Mars is malicious and destructive. Watch out, for he can steal one's soul and damn it for eternity. With his presence alone, tranquility is impossible on Mars. Wow. When a trading card fills in that much backstory, you know you got some problems. W. Rosenkrantz writes, this might be controversial, but they should remake Ghost of Mars. The basic ideas could be turned into something fun. It was big enough that they could benefit from advertising, a name people already know, and the original wasn't sacred to anybody, so the remake won't automatically be worse. Well, you know what? I love this idea. As a matter of fact, I already brought it up that we should have done it, that maybe gratuitous silence should have done it. But maybe now the question is, who from the Geek Squad should be in this? Because I feel like this is a good Geek Squad movie. Maybe Jason and I could be in it with June. We're with the Geek Squad. Maybe we get killed early. I don't know. I think there's a lot of options here. So let us know who you would cast in the Ghost of Mars remake, and the best person who writes up a little description with a cast, we will read it here on the next Last Looks. Wow. 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 I'm blown away. So many great corrections and omissions this week, but there can only be one winner. And look, the Gaucho Pants, yes, no one mentioned it. That was a very shocking omission. I will say that knowing the breathers are not actually goggles, Sean McBee, that's pretty great. Now, I would also say that CNU 2007 might win, but I don't know. I mean, the fact that CNU has a trading card is pretty impressive. You know what? That's what I'm going to pick. If you have trading cards for Ghost of Mars, you should win something. All right, CNW 2007, you are the winner, and you get this amazing song from Garrett Parker. Hit it!
People of Earth, you win nothing.
Okay, if you want to chime in with your own thoughts about the latest episode, please hit up our Discord or leave us a message by calling 619-Paul Ask. Coming up after the break, Jason and I will sit down for a chat with Ed Brubaker, so stick around. Welcome back. Now, every Tuesday, we re-release a classic How Did This Get Made episode back onto our feed. This week, like I mentioned, we did something a little bit different to celebrate our producer, Avril Halley, celebrate her life, and we wanted to make something that she might enjoy. So last week's matinee covered the 2020 Chloe Grace Moretz film, where gremlins get loose on a plane, right? It's one of our least selling shirts, where a gremlin is on the wing, but it's called Shadow in the Cloud. And you'll understand why we picked that one if you take a listen. And by the way, if you're not watching Dark Web with Rob Hubel and I, some crazy stuff has been going on. Check out Dark Web. Our studio burnt down. Rob and I now are in the woods fending for ourselves high on mustard. But enough about that. It is now time to talk to a true legend. That's right. Jason and I get to join our pal, Ed Brubaker. Now, Ed Brubaker is an Eisner Award-winning artist, a brilliant graphic novelist, a television writer. He is just an all-about gem who also has a bad movie club. His new book in the criminal series is called The Knives. It's available right now. We're going to talk about that in a bit. The hardback version of his Friday series comes out next week on November 12th. And this TV show, based on his criminal series, which I saw the first 2 episodes of and I loved, does not have a release date yet. We're going to talk about it a little bit and his experience adapting it, which I think you can also get a little taste of if you read Knives. You are in store for a very fun conversation because not only are we going to talk about all that, but Ed was so mad that he was not the guest for Ghost of Mars. All right, so without any further ado, please, John Astonish, hit the theme song.
Jason and Paul, just chat. June and Paul, just chat. Tall John Shear, just chat. How did this get made? Last look, just chat.
Welcome back to the show, Ed. And first question, you are a Ghost of Mars aficionado, an expert?
How, Ed?
Okay. Look, remember DVDs?
Yes.
Remember the aughts. Remember Obama?
Those halcyon days.
He's my favorite Mark Maron guest.
Yeah, I am a John Carpenter fan who is married to someone who is an even bigger John Carpenter fan.
Got it.
Nice.
And Ghost of Mars came out at this era where we had built we used to live in Seattle and we had built like a little theater room in our basement that could fit about 7 people comfortably. And so I would just have these evenings where I would just I'm going to watch 3 sci-fi movies tonight. And Ghosts of Mars, I believe, is one of the most fun, rewatchable John Carpenter movies from that era.
Okay.
I would rank it 10 times better than his fucking Vampires movie.
Well, but therein lies my question for you, Ed. Why rewatch the movies from the bad era?
Right.
What's the benefit of that? You just said it's one of the best movies from that bad era.
I mean, I don't know that I would qualify Ghosts of Mars as bad. It's not prime, Carpenter, but Memoirs of an Invisible Man. Are you going to watch that ever again? No.
No.
I mean, there's no amount of money, but Ghosts of Mars, it's so fucking weird. It's almost like the ultimate John Carpenter movie because it has that weird thing where he's always kind of about violence and the downfall of society, but also about matriarchies and powerful women. And so I kind of loved that. I also loved the fact that Courtney Love walked off the set after 3 days.
I want to know I love that. I love that component of it. And I love the John Carpenter. These are my themes. These are the things I'm interested in. It just did not come together satisfyingly in a way, even for us. What a blast. It didn't land right for me.
I think it's his era where he got not interested in action scenes. So both Vampires and that one, the action scenes often go to a montage showing you what happened in moments. And you're
or happen off screen or Pam Grier is killed off screen. Yeah, go ahead.
The fact that he, does a transition cut or a cut when they're walking down the hallway, a lot of weird editing choices. And I think from reading my interviews with him about this movie, where I feel like it failed was he was trying to make a dumb B movie, but it was too smart to be as dumb. The ending scene, the chrome guns.
Yeah.
And I'm that's the movie.
Yeah.
But
exactly.
I think he has a hard time walking that line or I don't know. It's it presents more serious than I think he intends. And that's where I feel like he needs that help in my mind.
No, I agree. I think there must have been some push from the studio on some of this stuff because it felt like he, to try to address studio notes, tried to do some interesting things in the edit. So that it's you don't see if she dies or not. And structurally, it's so weird, but I found it fascinating. And I also loved the dumb performances. And what a weird phase to have Jason Statham, where Jason Statham can't decide if he's bald or has hair.
We talked about this. This is an important moment for us. Yeah.
Yeah. No, as a baldist, because Jason Statham is one of the only bald sex symbols that we get. Like even in pornography, we don't have bald sex symbols that often.
No, you need
even
this.
in pornography. And
Arguably, you don't need to see the
thank
man's
Ed.
face at all.
Let's
But
be clear.
it's nice to know.
Even in pornography, we
It's
don't
nice
have
to
it.
know.
It's rare. I mean, don't look, Mr. Hair. You're nothing but hair. Paul and I can talk about this.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I'll
We're in
log
the
off.
Larry David Club.
Yes, this is important for us. We look at these bald men.
Jason just turned his screen off.
I will say that there are some things that I really love about it. I think, and I know this is now probably just a rumor and it's not true, that this was supposed to be like the third Escape From movie, like Escape from Mars, because like Desolation Williams looks and dresses like Snake Plissken, sorry.
Plissken, yeah.
And
that's true.
You know, but I would have loved Kurt Russell. Like that would have. I think they just wanted some more dumb stuff. It just didn't have enough dumb stuff.
What the movie lacked that so many other John Carpenter movies have is everybody is dour and down.
Yes.
Nobody has that light touch. Nobody has that kind of that swagger, that wink, that, you know, everybody is like gritty and realistic, or trying to be, in a way that is like, oh, I need somebody who has a little bit of a light touch, a little bit can let the steam out of this, you know?
I mean, I think that Ice Cube was intended to be that. And for me, it works because I'm a huge Cube fan.
I love Cube.
And honestly, that's when those are my favorite parts of the movie. Like literally, I cannot ever go to that taco shop on Sunset that's like right near Descanso without just hearing in my head, "Drop the gun, Descanso." And like just the weird names of characters. I love the dumb shit that Carpenter puts in his stuff that's just so idiosyncratic and him. Like Desolation Williams.
Yeah.
What a fucking name.
Great
like
names.
when I did Sleeper, there's a character named Genocide Jones, and that is a tribute to John Carpenter, the way he names characters. What is it? Napoleon Williams in Assault on Precinct 13. It's like Napoleon somebody. It's always like a really flamboyant first name and then
a very
Smith.
generic.
You know, like Slaughterhouse Bill.
I mean, it's very Thomas Pynchon, right? With one battle after another, like all the names mean something. But here's the thing: I like Ice Cube, and I think though he falls into that category of not knowing how to walk that line between dumb, tough guy. Like that's what like Kurt Russell has in spades, right? You believe that he could maybe win in a fight, or that like he's got a bravado and an ego. And I feel like with Cube, it's like, no, this guy's just cool. Like they're like,
no,
cool.
He's the same guy from Friday, basically.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
Like,
He's great, but he lacks that. What's wonderful about Kurt Russell, especially in these movies, let's say Big Trouble, is that character loses fights. That character
he basically is
willing to be embarrassed, you know, or willing to be, and that we don't have in this. Everybody's at maximum heroism, you know.
I agree. Like you want just somebody that just feels like they're right, or you just have Natasha Hendrich not be like, you need somebody to have, like everyone was too cool and too tough, and if that's the version of the movie and you're making a B movie, then you need to make them dumber but also cool and tough. But I feel like they were just cool and tough, but maybe that's directing. I don't know. Everyone seems so pissed off. Every interview that I read, they're like, he fucked us. He thought we were doing.
Even Ice Cube is like, I'm a big John Carpenter fan, but don't watch that movie. And I'm like, oh man, I feel bad. Cause it's like, it's literally it's the last thing Carpenter made that I think is interesting at all.
Yes.
Like, I don't know if he's made anything since
he made
then.
one movie after that, I think in 2010.
That Amber Heard movie or whatever that I never watched.
Yes. I mean,
she's like in an insane asylum. I don't know.
Did John Carpenter ever talk about working with Chevy Chase? Because that is really interesting to me.
Yeah. Oh, I don't know. Like, I'd love to know.
That to me is like that, because that's kind of peak Chevy Chase, like right where he's like, not peak, but like, oh, it's not going to go great. Right.
Yeah.
Like, but like you could tell he'd be like an asshole. Oh, I bet you there's some good stories there.
Also because John Carpenter is so no bullshit.
Yeah.
He's like, he says what's on his mind.
That's
true.
This.
Apparently, according to the Blank Check Beverly D'Angelo is the only person who has never said a bad thing about Chevy Chase.
There's always one defender. Always one.
I will point out Beverly D'Angelo was married to like Al Pacino forever. So like Chevy Chase is probably not a big deal to deal with.
So much more easier to handle.
I did a short film with Beverly D'Angelo, who was absolutely lovely, very sweet, kind. But the funniest detail I remember is that we were going to set. We were at this restaurant, and she pulled up to set and gets out of the car, and she's like, Al's in there. Like, Al just sat in the car the entire day because they were going to go to a concert that night. So he was just out in the car. The car didn't turn around. The car didn't, like, he just sat in a parked car for maybe 8-10 hours. And I just love that he was there. Didn't come in, didn't roll the window down, just sat in a parked car. And you check all the time.
I wonder what the concert was.
It was like for their kid. I feel like it was a band that both of them would not be going to normally. Like it would be the equivalent of them going
Vampire Weekend.
Like exactly. It felt like something very odd like that. Just to give you a little sneak in, because I had to Google this as we were talking. John Carpenter claimed that Chevy Chase and Daryl Hannah were the stuff of nightmares and impossible to direct. In particular, Chase would often refuse to wear his special effects makeup and would remove it prematurely, ruining a day's worth of filming.
Oh my God.
Oh,
wow.
Not surprised.
I need to dig into this movie a little bit more.
But you're getting Chevy on your show, right?
Oh, yeah. Chevy will be on the show.
He's great at improv.
He's
so comfortable on stage.
Ed, you've been out in LA a lot, and that is because, well, I mean, you've lived in this world. Your stuff has been optioned. You are a legend in the business, but you got to be the showrunner of one of your projects for Amazon, right?
Yeah, Criminal. God, it's been like 3 years, it feels like, since it started. But yeah, no, I had developed it at Legendary before the pandemic. And then a couple of the people from Legendary ended up being execs at Amazon. And so they revived it over there.
Now, I will say that I got to see 2 episodes of the show, early cuts of the show. Yeah. And it was fantastic. You gave me a lifelong dream come true, which was you screened it for me. And can I mention the other person?
Yeah, please.
Shane Black. It was amazing. It was amazing because I also...
You guys had the same note too, which was really annoying.
Well, the best thing about Shane Black, I will say, as a lifelong fan of him, was he gave notes the way like Columbo would leave an investigation, like bag in hand, like I'm just about out the door, turn around, like, oh, and then for a half an hour, he was almost out the door, like, well, one more thing, and then had these thoughts. But it was so funny because he had the body language of someone that was leaving, but the deep, smart notes of someone who was like, well, yeah, I'm cracking into this. It was, I loved watching it. I hung on every word. And I think at the beginning, he might have thought that I was like an Amazon executive. So I think he was careful to understand who I was before he gave any feedback.
I told him who you were.
All right, good. Well, I'm a fan. It was one of the coolest things.
That was really crazy because he was mixing the Parker movie at the same time. So he was on the lot for a couple weeks at the same time as us. And Shane, I met through Brian Udovich and Drew Pierce a long time ago. And he's a big fan of Criminal and a big fan of my graphic novels and stuff. So we have gotten together a few times, and he gives me advice about like writing stuff, and I consider him sort of like one of my mentors in this field to some degree, and it's great because
so much so, Ed, that on the cover of your new Criminal book, The Knives, you got a Shane Black quote right on the front. Brubaker and Phillips, don't hit a wrong note.
Yeah, I was very thrilled about that.
There's nobody better.
I didn't want to ask him for a while because I was like, I got to get to know him better before I hit him. I don't want to just have him think like, I really like the guy. Like he invited us to a party at his house a little while ago and we got to go. And
Whoa.
it was crazy because it was like a really big like Hollywood party, like that's in a Shane Black movie.
Oh,
and I was just like, oh wow. Okay.
You got to say yes to the Shane Black invite. I mean, that's,
totally. I'm probably more comfortable talking about what happened in Criminal than I am about that party.
You should be.
I just
you should
maybe
not
I shouldn't
tell
say
us.
I got invited.
No, you could say you got invited. But I will say the new book, the new criminal book, Knives, is about this cartoonist who's going to Hollywood in the era of peak TV to work on an adaptation of his comic strip. And I'm wondering how much of this is based on what you just told us, coming to Hollywood to make Criminal.
I have to say, I loved this book. I mean, like, just to set it out, I think these books, the criminal books, are some of the great modern books.
Oh,
and
love them.
The Knives catches us up with some of the characters that we've been following in a bunch of other criminal stories. And so it was both great to spend time with characters that I love and that I've been spending time with for years. But then, exactly to Paul's point, the Hollywood stuff was making me laugh so hard. When he gets to go to town and gets to be part of the room and starts to like dress and talk differently and become a douche and then immediately gets kicked out, I was like, this is incredible.
I realized after I started it needed to be like a Kafka-esque story about a guy not becoming a cockroach, but becoming a TV writer.
Yeah.
Because it is like a metamorphical decision that you can make at some point. And someone asked me how much of it was true. And I was like, oh God, Jacob is always a worst case scenario character for me. Like his childhood reflects a lot of pieces of my childhood, like growing up as a nerd who's like too much of an introvert, but who always wanted to be different. But like the emotional parts of his journey of like coming to Hollywood and like going from wanting to be like an individual artist to wanting to just be like a cog in the machine and how like every now and then you wake up and you're like, what the fuck am I doing? And like that part of it was very real. And, one of the things that I didn't realize being the showrunner, like, I guess I realized because I've been in enough television now to know how much rewriting happens after the scripts are already in production. Or
you've worked on some very interesting shows that, without naming names, that have had a lot of restructuring after. Oh
yeah, no. When we were watching episode 1 of Westworld, we had like a viewing party at my house of all the season 1 writers. Our co-EP on that first season, literally, I had to stop her from like punching the screen because she's like, what is this? Because it was completely different than what we had done. She's like, the first 15 minutes are a completely different show.
Westworld, a show that is famously went smoothly.
It was I mean, I was on season 1 when it was, I think everyone still thinks season 1 is the best season of that show. And I learned a lot on that show.
Yeah.
But, you know, like all of those scripts, we would write drafts and then the showrunners would rewrite them. But I didn't realize how much on shows where the showrunner isn't adding their name to things that they've literally rewritten sometimes almost every. I mean, there are some episodes of Criminal that I rewrote every single word on. And there are some where I only rewrote like 80%. And there's like a couple where I didn't do almost anything, you know, so it was like, oh, this is just weird. But then in post, you end up doing so much changing and writing and rewriting and ADR.
But that's the job, right? Like, I mean, when you're the showrunner, you're going to do so much, work and your name will always be associated with it. Like no one will ever say, will reference anybody else but Vince Gilligan when you talk about Breaking Bad, as far as like, and there were brilliant writers on there who are,
all great. Yeah.
Yeah.
No,
but it's like,
that was a murderer's row of great writers. Yeah.
And the same thing for Lost. It's like, you'll always get that heat, but it's funny when people who are in that position opt to put their name on everything as if, they will be forgotten, or it's like, it's a weird choice. I gotta say, like, I've talked to a lot of showrunners about it, and coming from comics, it's very weird to me not to have my name on anything I write. I have like a sort of an authorship kind of ego about it. So it's a weird thing in the industry, and I can kind of see it both ways, where it's like, I think the problem is
that the critical community that talks about television is unaware of it.
Yeah.
Or
Right.
even if they're unaware of it, or if they're aware of it, they still feel because so-and-so was listed as the writer, they want to give that person credit because they don't want to and I agree. Like so it's a weird gray area, but like the showrunner is really the voice of the show. Like Criminal, in the end of the day, I have credit on one episode, but that show feels more like me and my work than anything else that's ever existed,
Well, it's interesting because it's like, I think that there's this weird conception, like what you're saying, like when you go for the Emmys, a show is like an episode is nominated, which I think is such a flawed concept. It should be nominate the show, right?
Yeah.
Not like who cares about the specific episode. This is the writer's room. This is the thing. And, and like you said, it should be, everyone should take part in that.
Yeah.
But like, cause a lot of the times what happens is, and I think this is the thing that was written about in Difficult Men, like, there was a Sopranos episode that was written by a junior writer and David, was it David Chase?
David Chase, yeah.
Was like upset about it because it was like, oh, this person's out in front of this Sopranos episode, even though it goes through a process. It's not like, it's not singular.
I mean,
also,
famously, Matt Weiner said if you got 20% of your dialogue through a David Chase rewrite, you considered that a victory. Like if you had any dialogue in an episode of The Sopranos with your name on it that wasn't rewritten by Chase. I mean, by the way, David Chase can rewrite anything I ever write and not put his name on it. I'd be very happy. He is my fucking hero. So I can't wait for his MK Ultra show. No, I literally I have two different showrunner friends who have watched like people on their staff win Emmys that like they rewrote that episode page one and was like, and the person didn't even thank them. And so it's like,
wow.
It's a weird, so like, but how often does that happen to you? Like once in your life, maybe. So yeah, it's just a weird industry and it is very collaborative. So, but because of that, I think going into it, I honestly didn't understand how much work I would do in post.
Right.
And I would like by the time I was in post,
that's the final
it was just
draft
me.
in that way.
Yeah, it was just me. I remember when I went out to lunch with Shane, like the next day after that screening, I was saying that to him, and he said, "Look, writing the script and making it, like the script and the production, that's the ingredients.
Right.
Like post is when you cook it."
Yeah.
And it's like, are you a great chef? Do you have great chefs working for you? Like.
Well, but this is like the thing I always, like, that I found, because as somebody who's written comics or just a very small handful of them, it was backwards, right? Because like when you get to work in TV, you conceive the idea, then, you cast people and it kind of changes and you're shooting it and it kind of changes again based on location and actors and things that happen in the moment. And then you're editing it and it happens, it's like you're kind of developing all the way from inception to completion. And comics, or anything like a graphic novel is locked. Like you give, I mean, yes, you have your idea, but like, it's got to go all the way through the process. So I imagine.
Yeah, and it's got a deadline usually, too.
Yeah. I imagine that might have been fun, though, to have more time to ruminate within a specific episode or go back, like to do reshoots, like you said, and go, oh, I could tweak that. And I didn't realize that was something that could actually connect here. That's the fun part of it, I think.
Yeah, I loved post, honestly. Like it was long at times, but like learning to work with my editors and also seeing like where like, oh, this episode isn't working, how can we fix it, and like restructuring. Like it had never occurred to me, because Refn, I would look at the cuts and stuff and he didn't really want to hear what I had to say about what he was doing. Like he didn't listen to anybody.
I would love a podcast that would never get published, that is just you talking about working with Nick Wendy.
Oh, I'm pretty sure he'd be fine with it. Like I told him that I had based a bad guy in one of my books on him. Oh. And he's like, "Oh, you should do a memoir about like our time working together. And I could help you with it." And I'm like, "Yeah, Nick, you don't get to write my memoir about our crazy relationship."
Our show was memoir worthy.
I mean, wow, dude, yeah, there's so many stories from that show, and they keep coming out every now and then, and it's just like, oh wow, yeah, that was a crazy 3 years of my life too. It's just. Yeah, but a totally different experience than, doing
But what
your
a sense
show.
of authorship you have over Criminal now. In a way that, do you feel like it is as close to the kind of work that you and Sean get to do in the books, basically.
I think,
you know,
I think it's as close to feeling like my books as anything. Like, I've had several things like where people have tried to adapt my stuff that haven't gotten made,
right,
and where I haven't been involved at all. And one of the things that I think I've realized more as I work in Hollywood about what makes my stuff. Like, I'm not saying my stuff is the greatest stuff. Like, yeah, you guys obviously think my stuff is the greatest stuff, but
it's the greatest. Listen, I have 100%. No problem putting that out into the world.
But seriously, like, I think I realized in the last like couple of years, because when other people adapt my stuff, they sometimes they miss the part that makes it me. And
right,
like, what I do generally is I use genre tropes or genres to write really character driven, grounded stories where the people within these tropes are acting like real people, like you or me, or people you know, so you can identify with these people, but they're in this big genre story. And I also do things to subvert your expectations based on what you think would happen because of the genre. So often when people are adapting my work, or have tried in the past to adapt my work into movies and stuff, like Incognito, like great writers worked on Incognito, but the studios that were trying to turn that into movies didn't understand how you could do a black comedy about a supervillain in Witness Protection. So they would constantly force them to turn it into a superhero origin story.
Yeah.
And then it's like, well, that's like, no, you're not going to make a superhero origin story about somebody no one's ever heard of.
And they want it to be, they would rather it be it's literally what happens to Jacob in The Knives.
Yeah.
You know,
they want it to be generic.
They take the kind of Kafka-esque character that he's created in the comics of this detective who finds himself in these absurd worlds or these absurd cases, and all they want to make out of it is just a straight PI show without any of the trappings of Kafka, you know? And then Jacob, that's the crucible that Jacob goes through in his Hollywood chapter in The Knives. And then we find him later and he's back at home, back writing, back in the basement, back drawing and writing comics, and appears to be doing like, what's the new character, Ed? Is it a beaver?
Basil Beaver.
Basil Beaver. Private Eye, who looks like it's like a Black Sad character, I feel like.
Right.
Yeah, it's kind of that. I don't know. That part of it really came out of nowhere. I was like, I like the idea of him sketching and making fun of the producer of the show. And, and I just had this idea that he draws him as like some kind of a beaver, an animal, or a weasel or something. And he's masturbating as he's like saying something. And then I was just like, what if when he goes home, he just keeps drawing more funny animal things? Yeah. And then it becomes like, that's his next thing. Cause he's not going to do Frank Kafka anymore because they ruined it.
It's so funny. I love there's so many of your books that take place inside of Hollywood, whether it's old Hollywood. Yeah. I'm thinking of Fatale,
or Fade Out.
Or the Fade Out is another one. Like, and they really are like, I love how much you're interested in excavating the true evil of this town. You know?
I mean, look, when I get to like a Taylor Sheridan level of success, I'll have other things to write about.
Are you going to also follow him to Universal?
I mean, he doesn't get there for 3 years. Maybe I'll get there first.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. I would love it.
That's the best. I love throwing down the gauntlet like that. Yeah, fuck yeah.
I would love it if by the time Taylor Sheridan gets to Universal, you've already got Kill or Be Killed and Velvet on.
It's funny. I'm like, wait, are we dissing him?
No, not at all.
I was like, I love him.
I mean, he is a guy.
Please.
I mean, he's
all
a guy.
I want is to be on Landman.
You would be so amazing as a cartel guy on Landman.
Please,
you're the cartel lawyer. Come on.
I just started watching it. It's awesome.
Let me text him.
I like Lioness. I like all these shows. They're like, but like, it's amazing to me. Someone told me a story about him, about Tulsa King, which I loved, which was he talked to Stallone on the phone and was like, well, what do you want to do? And Stallone, like, told him I like this. And he's like, okay, got it. And then within 4 hours delivered a an hour-long show to Stallone. He's like, all right, I'll do this. Like that. Like,
well, it was a rewrite of another pilot, though.
Okay, got it. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that makes more sense.
I just heard Terry Winter is coming back on that show.
Yeah.
Because I think in the new season, Stallone was basically the showrunner.
Yeah. I had auditioned for something on there. I was very excited about it. And the word I had gotten back was, there's not really a room or a showrunner. Wow. So it's gonna, I was like, oh, okay.
Wow.
It is I mean, a lot of my crew came from Bass Reeves, actually. Like,
oh, wow.
Like my line producer had done Bass Reeves. And so, yeah, I had a lot. That was actually the only way we were able to get Garrett for Teague Lawless, cause he's on Tulsa King. We had good relationships with 101 Studios. We were able to like get them to move him around a little bit. That's why that reshoot was so crazy that Jason was part of. Because
yes, Jason, we can reveal that you are a part of the televised Criminal Universe now.
Oh yeah. Don't get it twisted, everybody. I am the star of Amazon's Criminal.
It is a pivotal role. Yeah, Jason was part of those reshoots, but yeah, we did, because of actor schedules now, sometimes it's so crazy trying to get, like, I think my friend had a show, and because of an actor schedule, they had to run for like a week. They had to run 4 sets to be able to shoot this actor out for the whole show in 1 week. Wow. So it was like, oh shit. Like, so yeah, when you get like, so it was like our reshoot schedule was literally just built around being able to, we only have Garrett for these 2 days. And, so we shot in 3 days, we shot 7 days worth of material. We had 2 sets running and a second unit.
I will never forget, when June's dad passed away, I was in Chicago. And there was, I couldn't get to, like, it was a timing thing, right? My flight was going to leave at 11 o'clock at night to get to New York. And I was on this independent movie, and they knew that if they lost me for like these 4 days, it would kind of screw up things. The way that they maneuvered that one day to shoot 5 days of work into this one long day, and I made my flight, it was something I will never forget. I was like, holy shit. Like when because it was a big deal,
amazing.
It was truly an epic feat where like things are changing, set dressing is going, I'm getting like appliances put on me. It was really impressive, and it's not ideal, obviously, but it's amazing when you can make those choices. I think in a weird way too, you become looser. You can't hold on to anything. You're like, all right, we're just going. We're going to get this thing, and maybe you find something cool in that moment too.
Yeah, no, I love that. I loved the production, and being a showrunner is a really, really fucking hard job with a lot of the parts that I didn't like about the job were just the frustrating parts of the waiting or the having to deal with too many people's opinions about a thing. But like the working with the actors and the crew and the directors, and like I directed like the second unit for our reshoots because like I had given up the idea that I wanted to direct. I originally came to Hollywood because I wanted to write and direct, and I got to sit next to Dee Reese on an Apple box for 3 months. And it was like the best film school ever. And like my camera operator, Matt Moriarty, is like one of the best Steadicam operators in the world. And, I just worked with these like world-class like actors and crew. And
well, that's the thing. The show looks amazing.
Yeah.
And it's big. It's a big fucking show. And I feel like that's the thing that I was really not shocked at, but like, I think sometimes when it's a streaming show, you see where the seams are, like, or the cuts. Like, we're talking about John Carpenter not wanting to shoot action, and you see like sometimes shows will move away from that. Every now and then they'll really lean in, but this is a show that feels like a movie. It feels like it has all those things that we know from big budget. It has a pace and a tone and energy. It's great.
I think what's also great about Criminal specifically is both in book form and now in your adaptation, these are the scale and scope of these stories is massive. The books take place over the last 50 years?
Yeah,
Ed,
70
correct?
now. Yeah.
70 now? Okay.
Yeah, it goes-
so like because now we've caught up to modern.
Yeah, because Dead and
modernity.
the Dying starts in like 1952 or something.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So what's crazy is you are constantly pushing us through time, not only with these characters who we visit at different times in their lives, but we're also following these characters' families as we're following so much of it is fathers and sons,
right?
Yeah.
Both on the criminal side, mothers and daughters. And
by the way, can I give you my best note? I was pitching a show, a movie actually, to again, giant person. And it was a comedy, and it was about a father and son, and the person stopped me in the middle of the pitch and said, "I got to stop you. There's never been anything funny about a father and son relationship." And I was like, "Oh, thank you. I get, sure." It was the craziest note I've ever gotten, and easily disputable, but it was, it was like,
I'm just going to go to a show I hate, Frasier. That's funny.
Wait, how do you hate? Wait a minute. Wait, how are you hating Frasier, Ed? What are you talking about?
I'm just mad at him because I was in love with Lilith.
Oh, wow!
Of course.
For you to come, that way to it. Oh my Lord, I love it. Well, guys, I'm so sorry. I have to run to go work on that movie about the father and the son, which is now a very serious drama. All right, I'll let you guys take it away.
Okay, we've lost Paul, which is great because now Ed and I, we can just talk about comics. Because Ed, I feel like there's been a long time, correct me if I'm wrong, where a bunch of these books have been out of print or difficult to find. And now they are back, or they are coming back.
I think it's just been that they haven't been out of print, but I've been having to reprint them a lot. But yeah, no, I reprinted all the criminal books. Sean did these new designs and new covers, so they're all branded, and I forced him to redesign the whole thing so that we would have these brand spanking new editions ready for when the show debuts, and that's been fun to do.
And these are books that if you have not yet gotten, I cannot recommend them enough. These are stories that are so fantastic and have been unfolding now for decades.
20 years, yeah.
20 years, right?
Yeah.
But not only, I know we're talking a lot about criminal. I feel like you've got a new volume of the Friday books collected.
Yeah,
which I think
got
is
the big Friday deluxe hardback coming out.
Which this was one of my favorite things that you did in recent years. That I feel like I caught by surprise when you started doing it, because it was one of the books that was launched as an online only book that has now migrated to physical copies.
Yeah.
And it's you and is it Marcos Martin?
It's Marcos Martin. And
the
his
absolute
wife,
genius, Marcos Martin.
Yeah.
This book is incredible. And is this as close to an all ages book as you get?
I think so. I mean, there's fucking and swearing, but
I guess so. Yeah.
But I would give it to 14 or up. I stupidly thought my friend Tom, who is a writer director I was working with on a movie a couple of years ago, had I want to say an 8 and a 10-year-old, and I thought they're really interested in comics, and I said, look through this and blank out all the swearing and stuff. And I forgot about the monsters, and one of them brought one of them to school and got sent home. Yeah, they got sent home from school. They were having like a little bit of a panic attack, so 8 might be too young.
I got all my nieces t-shirts. I had them custom made t-shirts that just said poop on them. And I was like, I was very clear, just to save their parents the headaches. I was like, these are only for at home.
Yeah.
Only these are at home shirts. Okay. Everybody was excited, but one of like a 10-year-old snuck it into school and changed at school and then got in trouble. And so everybody got in trouble.
Yeah.
And it was really juicy. I loved it.
That's the kind of uncle I like to be too.
Classic uncle shit.
Yeah. I'm not a dad, so I'm the uncle who's like, why is Uncle Ed outside smoking pot? It's like, because he doesn't have kids.
The best. I also want to shout out one of my favorite series that you've been doing in recent years are the Reckless books.
Oh yeah.
Which are a series of like if I was talking about it as a TV show, I would say Case of the Week. These are
book.
pulpy. pulpy quick read books that are just a single case. They're not as sprawling as the criminal stories are, or some of the ones that have these long tail effects into other books. The Reckless books, though they relate to each other, they are very concise in a lot of ways. Yeah. And they're great.
Yeah. The first 5 of them cover the 80s, basically. Yeah. They go from like 1981 to like 1989 or something. And
for guys our age, for middle-aged guys, it is the sweet spot of PI stories, in that it is a Vietnam vet who is down on his luck, who now owns a movie theater in downtown LA, and just it's like, all I want is to live inside of these stories.
Yeah, it's very much I made a list of like the things, because if you have a recurring detective character, you have to give them like these eccentric things that like, so I was like, what would I want if I had been holding on to that idea for like 20 years of like a main character who lived in a movie theater.
Great.
And but didn't let people in. Yeah. Like it's just, well, this is my movie theater. Yeah. He's like sitting in there with just him and his assistant watching movies. And it's like, those places, this is my holy spot. Like, no. And I'm my friend Duffy and I, who was on Barry and is like the number 2 on the Lowdown. We're currently adapting that as a movie for Amazon that Sebastian Stan is attached to star.
Incredible. Thank God, because that's something that I've asked you multiple times to let me adapt, and you have said, no, I'm doing it. Yeah. And it is one of my all-time favorite books, and one of my favorite all-time ongoing series, rather. And I cannot wait to see it adapted. I think it's an incredible series. I want to ask you about, I've asked you this before, but I'm going to ask you again. Because when you publish books in single issues, you always put in back matter. Yeah. You always put in, at the end of every issue will be an essay about a film. Usually films, a series of essays across the run of a book that are you have a friend or a film critic. That are related to the book that you're reading, the movies that relate to or sometimes you'll publish the music that you've been listening to or whatever. But especially to me, I've found so many great movie recommendations on those nights where I'm like, what do I want to watch? I have a list in my phone that are like the movie recommendations from the back of Ed Brubaker books. And that's like real stuff. So like, where does that live anywhere? Because you've fastidiously will not put it anywhere but those books to incentivize people to buy single issues, I think, in a great way.
It was partly to incentivize people, but partly to just make the single issues something special. But the thing is, like, a lot of those, I wrote a lot of them at first, and then I started having friends write them. Like my friend Jess Nevins wrote a lot of the ones that are about pulp history. And then Devin Faraci wrote a bunch of them, and then he got canceled. And then Kim Morgan took over for a long time, for years, writing them. And like, I just paid everybody like a flat fee for like one-time printing rights. So like the only thing we own officially is the art that Sean did for the essays. So to be able to do like a printed collection of all of them, I would need to
go back.
It's like I've got to get Patton and
I get
David.
it.
Some people are dead now who wrote some of them, and it's like I can't get a waiver signed by them. Like I've thought maybe put up all of them on like a website, because then it's like no one's making money off of it, and maybe that's a way around it. I think everyone would be happy if I printed a book with them. I think the people who wrote them would probably be happy. The reason I didn't do them in the books originally was because I didn't want to detract from the books. Yeah. And I wanted people to just, because you don't get to the end of a crime novel and have like an essay about, Night of the Hunter by the author's friend.
But boy, does it also give us incredible Sean Phillips, like Robert Mitchum, Lee Marvin. Like
Sean started doing those and then got hired by Criterion almost immediately. Yeah. He did like Sweet Smell of Success, Blast of Silence, because he did that illustration for Blast of Silence in the back of our comic when Patton wrote about it. And then Criterion's like one of our readers is like the art director of Criterion. And so Criterion optioned that movie and hired Sean to do like a whole comic book adapting the opening sequence and do a new painted cover. And it's like, so I was like, wow, an article in the back of Criminal by Patton Oswalt got Criterion to release a movie that was...
Isn't that it?
That was the most influential movie on Martin Scorsese that no one had ever heard of. You know?
Incredible.
And I only know about that movie because Patton told me about it. Like that's the thing I miss about the single issues is that part of it, like the building of the community.
Yes.
And I do kind of miss that from
resource.
only doing graphic novels. Yeah. We have next month we have it's called Giant Size Criminal #1, and it's just like a big 48-page criminal one shot. I think it comes out like the first week of December in comic stores, and it's print only, comic stores only. And I wanted to really reward the comic stores and like sort of incentivize them to know nobody can get this anywhere but at you. So buy a lot of them, please.
Yeah. And this is like really find your local store, go buy it. This is not like, and you've done this before, you know, I think you did this with maybe Cruel Summer. Did you? Or
when I put out hardbacks, I don't do digital versions until the paperback. Yeah. So, because it's like, you can't get a hardback book on your Kindle, you know? Yep. It's like, I noticed like Dan Clowes and Chris Ware books are not available at all digitally. And I'm like, yeah, because it's part of the experience is holding it in your hand and reading it. But like in that single issue, I got, Kieran Gillen, my friend Kieran is like a big comic book writer and game guy, and I got him to write a criminal RPG module so that Sean illustrated. So there's like a criminal game that you and your friends can play with a deck of cards and a table. You can imagine you're sitting in the undertow post heist trying to fucking backstab each other and dealing with a game master. And so cool. Kieran wrote that whole thing for me and Sean illustrated it. So that's like one of our extras in this big 48-page thing. And then I wrote like a sort of intro to who the world and characters of Criminal, and you know, so it was like fun to do that. So I think we may, you know, try and do that stuff once in a while, just because I just like, you know, being able to create like fun art objects that really create a community, you know.
And I think you also are constantly working with a list of collaborators who I think really reward that, you know, like even what you did with, are they called the Martini editions? The
Martini editions.
These are the adaptations of the Parker books that Darwin Cook did that they then published in large format that I feel like were very involved in shepherding into existence. Am I misrepresenting that?
I mean, I was part of their PR campaign a little bit, I think, because I wanted to sort of champion that because Darwin had always really wanted to do those. And so when they put out the first one, we did like a big roundtable interview, me, him, and the editor, Scott Dunbier, and Tom Spurgeon, who died a few years back, sadly, one of my best friends. And then in the second Martini edition, Darwin had passed away, like really tragically. And suddenly I found out he was sick the day like before he died.
Oh, wow.
So yeah, it was,
I didn't know it was so sudden.
It wasn't it was a few months, I think, you know, but it was a thing where everybody thought he was getting better and then he suddenly took a turn, it sounds like. But so for that book, like Sean and I oversaw that book, like edited it and designed. Sean designed it, and then we did a new original story for the end of it. Like, and I felt too weird writing a Parker story, so I wrote a Grofeld story about Parker and about missing Parker as like a tribute to Westlake and to Darwin. But because of that, I have the unique distinction of being one of the only people ever to get permission to write an original Parker story by Donald Westlake's widow. And I had to write the story first and submit it.
Interesting. That makes sense. And we've come full circle. Shane Black's new movie, Play Dirty, is an adaptation of one of the Parker books. So
I think it's like
we did it.
I think it takes 2 or 3 pieces from different ones, and then to me that movie, I really liked that movie. I thought it was a lot of fun, but I felt like it felt like a weird mishmash between a Richard Stark Parker, but also a little bit like one of the Grofeld books. but also about 50% like a Shane Black movie.
Yes,
like
and that's
it was
very clearly what I feel like it is. When it wasn't Parker, it felt Shane Black.
Yeah, and it was like, and I think that was like one of those ones where like the parts that I like the most about it, I think are the things that the critics maybe didn't like. Like, people don't understand Parker as a character at all.
Not at all.
Yeah,
not
they
at
do
all.
not.
They want him to be likable.
Yeah, they want
and
him to talk about his feelings and have
not
them.
at all. Never. He is never going to do that.
Yeah, I told Shane, I was like, this is one of the best portrayals of Parker since Lee Marvin, honestly, because
this stoic asshole.
Yeah, but that's what people don't get. They're like, oh, they want, and it's like maybe Wahlberg, who's usually such a charismatic guy, usually very funny in things. Like, I always think of him in The Other Guys, and and the Daddy movies. With
Daddy.
Like all his stuff with Will Ferrell is what I think of, and I love those. And so seeing him as Parker, I was like, honestly, I was relieved that it wasn't Downey, because I couldn't imagine a version of Downey as Parker, because Downey
wants to be liked so much.
Yeah.
And that's not Parker.
No, Downey, Downey's one of the best actors in the world. I mean, Kiss Kiss Bang Bang is still
incredible.
I
incredible.
still love
Shane,
that movie.
Because he's perfect for Shane.
Yeah,
I feel like he's perfect for Shane Black.
But I remember when he was listed, I was like, oh no, he should be Grofeld, the guy who talks too much and is an actor and is like flamboyant and stuff. Like, but Shane was like, no, he wants to do like a Lee Marvin. And I was like, oh, cool. Well, let's see it. And then of course he didn't do it, and they got Wahlberg instead. And Wahlberg really does sort of, he's closer. He's very like tight-lipped and tough. And, so I felt like it was a really good Parker. But then when I was looking at some of the reviews the first day, I'm like, oh, I'm gonna stop reading these, because
I didn't read.
It's like the same thing when like the guy who's the like main critic for the Times doesn't understand what a showrunner does. You're just kind of like, okay, so you don't know anything about Parker, but you're going to review this movie. So okay, but that's it. That's
where we
industry.
are.
That's where we are.
That's where we are.
But I just am hoping that we get like another Nice Guys movie or something, because I just feel like the Nice Guys is a movie that gets better every time I watch it.
Give me more. Give me more of that. Absolutely. Well, I'm being told we got to wrap up.
Right.
Ed, I could literally talk about this for the next 2 hours. You're one of the greats. Thanks for making the time.
Thank you.
And I cannot thank you enough for having me on Criminal. It was the thrill of a lifetime to spend 2 hours in makeup, having bruises and cuts applied to my body, looking like someone had beaten the shit out of me.
It is a pivotal role.
Great. Thank you again, Ed, for joining us. Now it is the moment you've all been waiting for. It is time to announce our next movie. Next week, we'll be going from a slow-moving train to a zombie craving brains. Ooh, I love that. That's right. We'll be watching the 1993 teen horror rom-com, My Boyfriend's Back. The movie stars Andrew Lowry and Tracy Lind, with an A+ supporting performance by Edward Herrmann, Mary Beth Hurt, Matthew Fox, and an unhinged Philip Seymour Hoffman. Yes, you don't want to miss this one. The IMDb breakdown of the plot says a teenage boy comes back from the dead because he's determined to win the most beautiful girl in school. Here's the thing. He is not her boyfriend, and Jason and June loved this movie. So, are they right? Are they wrong? Well, Rotten Tomatoes gives this movie a 13%, and Ty Burr from Entertainment Weekly says, My Boyfriend's Back is obviously aiming for the subversive high school yucks of 1989 Heathers, but the storyline never bothers to make sense. Which, honestly, I agree with. Listen to the trailer.
They say you only get one chance at life, but for childhood sweethearts Missy and Johnny, true love will never die.
My boyfriend's back. He came back from the dead for me.
He's a stinking zombie, you idiot. He may be dead, but his heart still beats for the girl that he loves.
I would love to go to the prom with you.
Go for it, Johnny! Pretty damned active for a dead guy. My Boyfriend's Back, rated PG-13.
You can rent My Boyfriend's Back on Apple TV, Amazon Prime Video, and Fandango at home. Separately, I encourage you to check out Hoopla, Canopy, and Libby, which are digital media services offered by your local library that allow you to consume TV, movies, music, audiobooks, and ebooks, and comics for free. All right, that's it for Last Looks. If you listen to us on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, please rate and review us. Please make sure that you are following us and have automatic downloads turned on. It helps the show, and we appreciate it. Visit us on social media at HDTGM, and a big thank you to our producers, Scott Sani and Molly Reynolds, our engineer, Casey Holford, and our social media manager, Zoe Applebaum, as well as our intern, Quinn Jennings. We'll see you next week for My Boyfriend's Back.